Today is another new topic, which is a very important topic for every woman to be get understand, even of course the male also. That is a menstrual cycle. These lectures will be helpful for you based upon NCERT with the help of all the diagrammatic manner. That is only the main motive, right? So today we will go with the topic that is a menstrual cycle. चलो बेटा खत्म करेंगे इसको easy manner, right? Menstrual cycle is also called ovarian cycle, right? Menstrual cycle is also called as ovarian cycle and also called as reproductive cycle, right? We can also call it as a reproductive cycle. Why we are calling it as a reproductive cycle? Of course, this cycle only will makes us to become the pregnant, because this menstrual cycle is only the some of the complex series of events will happen here. See, this is NCERT point again here now beta here, right? This is the NCERT point. Events. The events will happen in the menstrual cycle. How many types of events? 2 events. We'll discuss. The menstrual cycle is a complex series of events. One after another, the events will happen that prepare our woman's body to be for a potential of to make the pregnancy or to conceive also, we can say here. That is why we are calling the menstrual cycle also as a what here no reproductive cycle, or we can also use the word for this is a ovarian cycle. This menstrual cycle is typically last around 28 to 29 days of in a month, right? Some women may able to be get vary for 30 days or maybe some women for 35 days here, right? Some women will be the 2 months, 3 months. It depends upon their hormonal changes, what is happening in their body. Okay. Now, in this menstrual cycle, the cyclical changes, imagine now beta here. If this is a uterus and this will be the what here no ovary, right? And here it will be the what here fallopian tube will be present. Okay, so the cyclical changes which is happening in the uterus of endometrium layer plus the follicles which is present in the where here ovary simultaneously in both the regions. Which regions? One is in the uterus and one is in the where here ovary, right? One is in the ovary. So whatever the cyclical changes one after another, but remember better both the region the simultaneously the changes will happen, not one after another. I am sorry for that word, right? It is a simultaneously, it's something change is happening in the endometrium of uterus, means something change will be happening in the follicles of ovary. That's what, understand this line carefully to understand the menstrual cycle. Cyclical changes that occurs in the endometrium of uterus and follicles of ovary every month, which is happening the changes because of the hormones in our body. We will call this one is a what you know menstrual cycle. Got the definition clearly? बेटा ज़्यादा सोचना मत, very clearly remember करो, right? यूट्रस में जो कुछ चेंज चल रहा और ओवरी में भी जो कुछ चेंज चल रहा, जो कुछ ओवरी एंड यूट्रस में जो कुछ चेंजेस चल रहे एक ही साथ, right? Because of some hormones changes, we'll consider that is a what you know menstrual cycle, right? And before starting with the menstrual cycle, these words you should understand better here. A words के meaning समझो. First one, mensum, the word meaning itself what you know month. Obviously menstrual cycle will happen monthly once, right? In that first one menarche, arc the word meaning itself beginning beta here, right? Arc the word meaning itself what you know beginning. Listen this word careful beta. These 3 words if I written separately here means it should be some importance for this, and the question will ask you here on this, right? So monarch and menstruation, menopause, 3 are not the same, they are the different. Menarche is nothing but the first menses, or I can use a word first bleeding, right? The first bleeding in female life, right? First time we will start bleeding now, but when you got puberty, when you reaches to puberty, when you got mature, right? When you got mature, first time the woman will start, the female will start bleeding here, right? So that first bleeding, we will use a word for this is a what you know, menarche. The first bleeding which is occurring in the any female in her throughout the lifetime, when she reaches to the puberty, that first bleeding we will use a word for this is a menarche. Arc, the word meaning itself beginning, but jab se the menstruation is now starting in her life, right? The beginning is going to be happen by that first bleeding. That's why we are calling it as a menarche, right? Next, menstruation. Every month bleeding, right? Every month bleeding, what is happening after the menarche only now, but the menstruation will happen here. So every month bleeding, we will use a word calling it as a menstruation, or we will use a word is a menses. We'll use a word is a what, menses, or some will say it as a periods, right? I'm on periods, I'm on menses, right? They used to word here. Every month bleeding, whatever is happening for every woman, we will use a word is a menstruation. But first time when their lifetime, first time generally they used to do some function and everything for that, right? So menarche, that is the first bleeding. Menstruation, after the menarche, every month until her menopause condition, whatever the every month menses will happen, that we will call it as a menstruation. Menopause in the sense stoppage of bleeding, right? Or stopping of bleeding, right? We will use the word is about, you know, menopause here. But can you see the differences between the three words? Menarche means when they got first time bleeded or started menses for the first time in their lifetime, है ना बेटा? First time menses आ गया तो उसको बोल रहे menarche. Throughout every month the menses is getting, we'll call that word is a menstruation, and the stoppage of bleeding will happen. NCERT has given that this stoppage of bleeding will happen around 50 years, right? Where they are not able to get the menstrual cycle, right? We'll use the word for this is a menopause. If I ask you a question, why the menopause will happen in women's beta? Because no follicles will be present. Follicles got completed when they reaches to the around 40 or 45 years or 50 years of the age. So the no follicles, when there is no follicles, no stimulation, no secondary oocyte, and no menstrual cycle will happen here. Okay, the menses, the word meaning is we are calling it as a month here. Okay, next, now let me start it with the next thing. Menstrual cycle will happen in the two events, right? Menstrual cycle will happen in the how many events here? Two events. But I am just teaching you all these points based upon the NCERT. After listening this lecture, if you read the NCERT, every word of NCERT will understand better. Please keep hope, right? The menstrual cycle will happen in the two events. One is ovarian events. One is ovarian events. Events is nothing but the changes which is happening in the ovary, right? One is the uterine events, right? Uterine events. Events is nothing but whatever the changes is happening in the ovary and the uterus in the menstrual cycle, we'll call it as a two events. These two events will happen because of the two types of hormones. I'm sorry, right? Because of two types of hormones, right? Two types of hormones will able to do these two types of events in our body. What are those two types of hormones? The first one is ovarian hormones, and one more we will call it as pituitary hormones, right? One more we will call it as a what? Pituitary hormones. What are the ovarian hormones we can say beta? Ovarian hormones like estrogen and one more called as progesterone, right? Estrogen and progesterone. Pituitary hormones like FSH and LH, right? So these are the four hormones which is useful for the cyclic changes of the menstrual cycle where it is happening in the two events. Generally ovarian events can be controlled by the pituitary hormones, uterine events can be controlled by the ovarian hormones. This point is there. So these four hormones will able to be helpful to occur the menstrual cycle in our body by these two events here. Okay, right. Now this menstrual cycle will occur in the how many phases beta? 4 phases here. I am writing the phases here now. The first phase, that is a menstrual phase. The first phase is a menstrual phase. Second phase, follicular phase, or also called as, yes, that is a that is proliferative phase. Actually we'll say it as also called as not, but the occurrence is dusra hai beta, right? Follicular phase will happen in the ovary, proliferative phase will happen in the uterus. Okay, third phase, calling it as ovulatory phase or ovulation phase, right? Ovulation phase. Then the fourth phase we can say that is luteal phase, and one more, that is secretory phase. Luteal phase will happen in the ovary, secretory phase will happen in the uterus, because just now we told that it is a two events, but simultaneously in the uterus and ovary the changes is going to be happen here. If I go with the days of this menstrual cycle, just now I had told you that menstrual cycle will be typically last around the 28 to 29 days, isn't it here? So menstrual cycle contains a menstrual phase beta, right? Menstrual phase will last around 1 to 5 days of the month, right? First 1 to 5 days of the month. Follicular phase and proliferative phase will be present around 6th day to up to the 13th day of a month. 14th day, right? 14th day will be the ovulation day, right? This will be the mid of month also, we can say here, mid of the month. Am I right here? That's what NCERT has given one line beta here, right? आप पढ़ सके तो देखो ना इधर NCERT में एक बार, right? Ovulation will happen in the mid of the month. They have given this line here, right? Then luteal phase or the secretory phase after the 14th day, that is nothing but 15th day to up to the 28th and the 29th day we will be having these phases here. So totally the menstrual cycle will be having the 4 phases: menstrual phase, follicular phase, ovulatory phase, and the luteal phase. Now the most important, the NCERT diagram, where the students will feel difficulty to understand that one. Now listen, right? That you should understand here. Please see the diagram carefully and understand my words better. Listen to me carefully here, right? NCERT has given this diagram in this way. In this way, like as, imagine now this is a, okay, right? This is a diagram which to be explain the menstrual cycle. This menstrual cycle we are going to be divided into how many events? I told you 2 events. So here we are discussing about the uterine events. I hope so it is visible for you everyone, right? So uterine events, right? And here above they have, I'm sorry, right? Above they have given, oh shit, above they have given the ovarian events, right? If you observe the NCERT diagram carefully, right, it will be helpful for beginners who are listening or learning it for the first time also, right? So in detail I am just explaining you here uterine events and ovarian events. Here they have given the hormones. Which hormones beta? There is ovarian hormones like as estrogen and progesterone. I think so I'll write with the another color, by that you can see the differences. Progesterone, okay, right? And next in the above we will discuss about the hormones like as LH, right? We'll discuss the hormones like as LH, and one more hormone like as FSH. One more hormone like as FSH here. Clear these points here? Okay, right? So these are the things which we are going to be get discussed now. Now look at here carefully beta. Okay, so two events with the two types of hormones. Imagine now we have told that menstrual cycle is totally starts from the first day, right? Imagine now this is the first day, second day, third day, fourth day, and fifth day. This first 5 days, what is the phase will be there? We said that is a menstrual phase, right? Also we will call it as a bleeding phase also, we can say bleeding phase here. After that, 6th day, right from 6th day then to the up to which day here? No, 14th day, in the sense up to the 13th day here. Let me take it as a 13th day. This is the phase, calling it as a which phase here, right? That is a follicular phase. Okay, 14th day is a ovulation day, we have told here, right beta? Next, right from 15th day to 16th day, like in the same way, how many days here? 28 to 29 days, right? In the this region I have taken the days, right, in this region, and in this region I have taken the events with the hormones here. Clear these points here? Now observe it carefully everyone here, right? Imagine now here first 5 days I'm just dividing in this way beta here. First 5 days I'm just dividing in this way here. Imagine now this is the first 5 days. Okay, first 5 days. Here this is a which one here now? 13th day. Okay, this is which day? 14th day, ovulation day, and this is, and then finally the what is there here now? This will be the 28th or 29th day. I hope so you understand now. Now listen here. Next, in the first 5 days, because of estrogen hormone is less, the endometrium layer started shedding off because of estrogen and progesterone hormone. Endometrium layer started shedding off beta here, right? Endometrium layer started off shedding off here, right? Shedding of endometrium layer is going to be happen, in the sense the bleeding is going to be happen. So this is what we will call it as a what here no? Menses. This is what we will call it as a what here no? Menses. The bleeding of bleeding is going to be happen, that is a shedding of endometrium layer will happen. Why the shedding of endometrium layer is going to be happen? Because the estrogen is less, and because one more, the progesterone is also less. Because of progesterone and estrogen is less in 1 to 5 days, in the uterus the endometrium layer is shedding off. We will call the shedding of endometrium layer as a menses or the periods. That's why we are also calling this is a bleeding phase beta. Beta ye uterus mein chal raha, right? This is happening in the uterus here. Whatever this bleeding is going to be happen here, in this bleeding blood we know that there will be a ruptured ovum will be present, plus the stratum functionalis layer here. I have explained very clearly about the uterus layers, endometrium, stratum functionalis and stratum basilis region here. So the stratum functionalis layer blood vessels ruptured will be present here, and the ruptured secondary oocyte will be present here, and along with that some anti-heparin proteins also will be present, where the menstrual blood is not going to be get clot. We know this point. Generally our blood is going to be get clot when it is came out of our body, but the menstrual blood is not going to be get clot here. This is happening in the uterus beta, but same time, because this is happening because of which hormones? Estrogen and progesterone are the less. We told that estrogen and progesterone are the which hormones? Ovarian hormones here. See, uterine events is controlled by the ovarian hormones. Now the ovarian event, in the ovary what is going to be happen? Better in the ovary we know that we will be having a primary follicles will be present here. In the yesterday's class we have discussed about the day before yesterday, I hope so, right? So we have discussed the structure of primary follicle, secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, oogenesis process here. Am I right here? So these primary follicle will stimulate into secondary follicle. Secondary follicle will stimulate into tertiary follicle, right beta? Tertiary follicle will stimulate into the Graafian follicle. Am I right here? Right? Graafian follicle is having a secondary oocyte. This in detail structure of how the oogenesis process and these structures, everything I have discussed in the video, that is a oogenesis process beta. If you don't have an idea, please click upon the oogenesis, that is a SHALU ma'am oogenesis process. If you type it here, it will appear, right? You can go with this one here. In detail I have described with the structure, everything here, and it will be helpful for your theory exams also, like as a Cbse students here. Okay, right? So this follicle stimulation is happening because of the which hormone beta? The name itself it is telling FSH, right? Follicle stimulating hormone. So now the FSH is more or less is present here now. FSH will be the more, right? FSH will be the more will be present. By the end of the this one, FSH also will become the more. So in this phase first, right, FSH is the more. Then ma'am, what about the LH here now? LH is the less. See, I am representing very clearly what are the hormonal changes in the menstrual phase beta. Menstrual phase, the estrogen is less, progesterone is less, FSH is more, LH will be the less. Because of these hormonal changes in the first 1 to 5 days of the menstrual cycle, the bleeding will occur. In the uterus, the menses is happening. In the ovary, the follicle stimulation is happened because of the FSH is the more. Clear this point here? Okay, right? Next. What will be the happen the next phase beta? Next phase what will be here? Follicular phase here. In the follicular phase, the name itself it is telling follicles is getting the stimulated. Here just now I have written na beta, the follicles are getting now stimulated. Follicles are stimulating in the where here? Ovary. Because I have written here. Have you remembered? I have written here. I hope so. Here I have written follicular phase is happening in the where? Ovary. Why the follicular phase is happening in the ovary? Because the follicles are getting stimulated. Because of the which hormone? FSH. Clear these points here? Next, we have also told that it is also called as proliferative phase here. Proliferative phase will happen in the where here no? Uterus. So jo kuch ovary mein events is happening, then same time in the uterus also some event should happen na beta. What will happen in the uterus here? Look at here. In the uterus, again the formation, the synthesis, right? I can use the word is a proliferation or the synthesis or the formation of which one here no? Endometrium layer. Of which one here? Endometrium layer, right? Again the formation of the endometrium layer is going to be get happen, right? Formation of endometrium layer is going to be get happen in the which phase beta? Follicular phase here. Ma'am, this endometrium layer formation is happening because of which hormone? Because of which hormone? Because of estrogen, right? Because of estrogen is increased here. The estrogen function is to synthesize or proliferate the which layer here? Endometrium layer. Ma'am, how suddenly the estrogen has got increased in this layer? Beta, estrogen is a hormone which is synthesized or formed from the follicles here, right? Estrogen is synthesis of estrogen, right? Synthesis of estrogen. Synthesis of estrogen by which cells here no? Granulosa cells which is present in the follicles beta here. How much the follicles are stimulating, the granulosa cells will be the more, that much the estrogen will synthesize. More estrogen if it is increasing, the synthesis of endometrium layer will happen. Whatever the shedding of is happen, again the proliferation of endometrium layer is going to be happen because of which hormone I told you? Estrogen. Please listen it carefully. Very clear explanation this one beta. You don't find this explanation with the help of diagram here. Please listen it carefully. Then ma'am, what about the progesterone here? Beta, progesterone will be the no change will happen. Progesterone will be the less, right? There will be no change in the progesterone hormone in the first 2 phases, even the third phase also here. No change in the menstrual phase, no change in the follicular phase here, and no change in the ovulatory phase also. Ovulatory phase also progesterone will be the less here. Okay, Next, ma'am, what about the FSH and the LH in this phase here? What will be happening in the beta ovarian? In the ovarian events, the follicle stimulation starts from the menstrual phase, ends up to the follicular phase. Continuously it will happen because of the which hormone, you know? FSH. FSH also in the end of the follicular phase, the FSH also will be the peak here. Then the LH also will reaches to the peak beta here. LH also will be reaches to the peak. Ma'am, why the LH is run of the got increased here? No, beta estrogen is directly proportional to the LH here. Wherever the estrogen is increasing more, then automatically LH also will be get increases here. See, understand here, progesterone less, estrogen less, LH less, right? FSH will be the more. Here progesterone less, estrogen more. Why estrogen more it is happened? Because of the granulosa cells only will synthesize, and FSH became the less and the LH also became the less because LH is directly proportional to the estrogen, we can say here. Now what will happen? This is a follicular phase or the proliferative phase which is happened in the uterine and the ovary here. Then what will happen in the ovulatory phase here? Beta, in the ovulatory phase, the estrogen suddenly started decreasing beta. Estrogen suddenly started decreasing, right? If I ask you question, why ma'am the estrogen suddenly started decreasing here? Look at here. The LH surge and FSH is the peak in this region here. Whenever the LH surge was happened here, right, the Graafian follicle will get ruptured. It releases the which oocyte here now? Secondary oocyte, right? The Graafian follicle will get ruptured because of the LH surge here. In the 14th day, the ovulation is going to be happen. The Graafian follicle will get ruptured and it will do the which process here now? Ovulation. Okay, once the Graafian follicle got ruptured beta, follicles got ruptured, then there is no granulosa cell to synthesize the which hormone here? No, estrogen. So progesterone is less, estrogen is less, LH will be the more, FSH will be the more. What will happen in the next phase here? Look at the next phase beta, right? Here also the endometrium will be the same, will be present here. Okay, in the luteal phase, can I say now this 15 to 28 days are the luteal phase? Here only I had told you luteal phase is occurs in the ovary, secretory phase will occur in the uterus here. Luteal phase beta here, luteal phase. Look at these points of luteal phase here. In the luteal phase, what is going to be happen? The ruptured Graafian follicle will convert into the corpus luteum. Will converts into what here? No, corpus luteum. The ruptured Graafian follicle, the layer, whatever the outermost layer where it is releasing after the secondary oocyte, the ruptured corpus luteum is converted into the corpus luteum. Beta, corpus luteum is in the yellow color beta because it contains a protein called as lutein, right? Because of presence of lutein protein in that, it appears like as a yellowish in color, right? It appears like as a yellowish in color. Okay, these corpus luteum can maintain up to the how many days here? No, 14 days. The lifespan of corpus luteum, we can call it as a how many days here? No, 14 days beta. Once the corpus luteum is formed, right? Once the corpus luteum is formed, until now the progesterone was very calm and very less here, no, and I don't know anything what is happening in the menstrual cycle or maybe in the human's body here, but the progesterone suddenly it started increasing their synthesis, right? The progesterone level will be suddenly will be get increases because the progesterone is going to be get synthesized by which one here? No, corpus luteum. Once the corpus luteum is formed, the progesterone is going to be get increased. Synthesis of progesterone will happen from the where here? No, corpus luteum. Until and unless the progesterone will be get maintained, sorry, corpus luteum will be get maintaining, so the progesterone levels also will be get maintained here, right? Ma'am, what about the estrogen? Beta, estrogen has become the less now, as I told you already here, because no Graafian follicle, no granulosa cell, so estrogen has become less here. But look at here now, these estrogen again second time it will become the peak. Second time in the luteal phase it will increases their synthesis beta. Here estrogen also will be get increases here. Ma'am, why the estrogen will increase? Beta, corpus luteum. I hope so I'll write this point in the next one here, next page here, right? Corpus luteum, right? Corpus luteum will synthesize 4 hormones beta. One is the majorly the progesterone, second one is estrogen, third one we can call it is a inhibin, and the fourth one we can call it as a relaxin. We can call it as a what, you know, relaxin. So the corpus luteum will synthesize these 4 hormones here. Okay, so that as the corpus luteum is present, the estrogen hormone and progesterone hormone has got increased here. You can see here now, estrogen had 2 peaks now beta here. If I represent here properly, see this is the first peak of estrogen, right? If I represent here, the first peak of estrogen will be in the follicular phase beta. This is the second peak of estrogen in the which phase here? No, luteal phase. 2 times the peak of estrogen will happen here. The first peak of estrogen and the second peak of estrogen. Why the 2 times the estrogen has reached to the peak levels in our body here? Because first time peak is happened because of follicular cells, granular cells. Second time peak is it happened because of the corpus luteum. Now, this corpus luteum and the estrogen was maintaining here. Okay, then what about the fate of FSH and as well as the LH? FSH little bit get decreased here now, automatically LH also will be get decreased here. So in this region the FSH will be the less, then LH will be the less. See very clearly phase wise I am just showing you the hormones, how the changes is going to be get happen beta. Why it is happening changes also I am explaining here. Ma'am, what about this endometrium layer here? Look at beta, this endometrium layer which was secreted by the estrogen hormone, that will be get maintained until the 28 days, until the progesterone will be there here. So the endometrium layer will be get maintained, right? It is not synthesizing beta, it will be get maintained because synthesis of endometrium layer, right? In the sense formation of endometrium layer will be happen. This is a synthesis of endometrium layer happened because of the which hormone? Estrogen. But the maintenance of endometrium, what was formed here, that will be get maintained, right? Maintenance of endometrium layer because of which hormone here? No, progesterone. Even this progesterone has made the secretory in function. That's why we call it as a secretory phase beta. Luteal phase we are calling because of in the luteal phase only the corpus luteum is now converted into the corpus albicans. Here the corpus albicans will form, we will discuss that one, and we are calling it as a secretory in phase because of now it is in the which function here? Secretory in function. The endometrium layer has become the secretory in function. Secretory in function means you can see here white colored structures, glands will be present in the NCRT beta if you observe it carefully here. So this the endometrium now it has become the secretory in function, where this endometrium also little bit estrogen will be get synthesized here. That is the reason why the estrogen will be the second peak beta. Even the corpus luteum also will synthesize, and even the endometrium layer which has become the secretory in function. If it is a secretory in function, it has to secrete something. It will secrete this hormone called as estrogen here. Who is what is the functions of progesterone hormone? One is it will maintain the endometrium layer in the phase and it will also make the endometrium layer to be as a secretory in function. This is the two functions of progesterone in this phase beta. Then the function of estrogen cannot do anything over here. It will be just increased because of corpus luteum and endometrium layer here, right? Corpus luteum now converted into as a corpus albicans here, right? Albicans here. But a corpus albicans will be in the whitish in color. Yes, of course I have drawn it is in the whitish in color here, right? Because once the lifespan of the corpus luteum, if it is completed here, in these 14 days it is going to maintain the endometrium layer, because if this secondary oocyte has got the fertilized, then it has to maintain the pregnancy now, but in the endometrium layer only the implantation is going to happen. In detail explanation will go with the next topic, right? How the implantation will happen. So once the fertilization if it is not happened, then the corpus luteum after the 14 days it will convert into the corpus albicans. Once the corpus albicans is formed, it will become dry beta, right? So then the corpus albicans does not have a role to synthesize the progesterone. So the progesterone will started decreasing. If the progesterone started decreasing, automatically who will start decreasing? Estrogen, right? estrogen will be get decreases, progesterone also will be get decreases. Then look at here, LH also will be get decreases, but listen, this point is important here, but FSH started increasing here, right? FSH started increasing here. See, whenever this progesterone and estrogen has become less, then again the endometrium layer started doing what here now? Shedding off. Means the next menstrual cycle is going to be get started here. That's what I have drawn here now. Better here. See, I started the menstrual cycle by less progesterone, less estrogen, less LH, and the FSH is the more. So by this way only now I have started the next menstrual cycle here. So by decreasing of these hormones, again the next month menstrual cycle is going to be get started. Ma'am, why sudden of the FSH will be get increased here? Better, as I had told you that corpus luteum is going to be get synthesized, release the four hormones we told now. Inhibin will suppress the FSH better here, right? Inhibin will suppress as the LH here. Once the corpus luteum is present, the formation of inhibin will be happen, so that it suppresses this FSH. When the corpus luteum converts into the corpus albicans, then inhibin will be not there here. So sudden of who will increase here? No, FSH will be get increases here. I hope so I am clear with these points here, right? 4 phases better here, right? Menstrual phase, follicular phase, ovulatory phase, luteal phase here. Okay, so in the menstrual phase, progesterone is less, estrogen is less, LH is less, FSH is more. In the follicular phase, progesterone is less, estrogen is more, FSH and LH will be the peak at the end of the follicular phase. This is what the NCERT line here. Ovulatory phase, progesterone is less, estrogen is less, FSH and LH will be the more. Luteal phase, progesterone will be the more, estrogen will be the more, FSH and LH will be the less here. And how it will start the next menstrual cycle also I have explained you here, right? It's a very in detail explanation of the menstrual cycle, right? And some points you should remember in the menstrual cycle. Better, this is a very clear explanation. You can see the NCERT diagram and this one. You will never forget how all the hormones will increases and will be get decrease. If you did not understand, one more time just revise this things here, just replay this video again and you will observe, you will understand the carefully here, right? If I go it with the some points here now better here, that is, we know that relaxin is going to be get released only at the time of pregnancy, right? Relaxin hormone will be helpful for the relaxation of cervix and as well as vagina for the purpose of parturition, Okay, clear this point. Better, the corpus luteum lifespan, how many days I told you here? 14 days. 14 days will be the common for every woman better here now, right? So for common for every woman, it can be the menstrual cycle will be get changes. Some women will have a 28 days, 22 days, 15 days, 30 days, 35 days, 2 months, right? Menstrual cycle will get changed. But every woman, the the luteal phase will be the same phase. 14 or 15 days only will be present here. That's why we'll consider that if they give some problems like this also, they'll give some problems also better. If the one woman, she got had a menstrual cycle like as a 30 days, right? She had a menstrual cycle like as a how many days here? No, her menstrual cycle is a 30 days. Then when is her ovulation day? They will ask you the question. When is her ovulation day? So at that time what you will do? 30 minus 14, right? At that time what you will do here? No, 30 minus 14. So what will be the answer here? Please tell me, right? 30 minus 14 if you do it here. So that will be her ovulation day better. So if any time they ask the questions in this way here. So for example, another example here, any menstrual cycle of any woman, right? She is having a 25 days of the menstrual cycle, and when is her ovulation day here, then what you will do? 25 minus 4. What will be the answer here? here, that will be her ovulation day. In this way we can able to calculate the ovulation day of every woman here. Okay, I hope so I'm clear with this topic, that is a menstrual cycle. Clear better here, right? Very fast I'm just going with the fast revision here. Menstrual cycle is also called as ovarian cycle, also called as reproductive cycle. Menstrual cycle is a complex series of events that prepare woman's body for a potential pregnancy. It is a typically lasts for 28 to 29 days. Very important point this one. The cyclic changes every time occurring, every month occurring in the uterus and as well as a fallopian ovary here, right? So differences between menarche, menstruation and the menopause. Next, two events with the two types of hormones. How many phases? 4 phases here. Okay, this will be the total how the changes is going to be get happen here. Clear these points now beta? I hope so I'm clear with this menstrual cycle. And thank you for listening to this class, and please subscribe to my channel. Any more information if you wanted, or if any other language if you want the videos like as a Telugu or Hindi or any other language, please comment in the comment section, and by that we will read that one and we'll come to you with those videos here, right? Thank you for the watching.